Welcome to Confessions by Banana Ketchup. Very strange and scary experience. Would love ideas, support, and similar stories. Throw away because I don't want anyone to think I'm a cook, identifying me on my main, and I figured you guys might be receptive to this. If there is more appropriate subreddit for this, please let me know. So, I'm 19 and on the 3rd of January of this year, I fell from a tree whilst making a treehouse me and my mom have been building as a lockdown project for my little brother, and banged my head and got knocked out. While I was out, I had an experience. I don't know how else to label it. I do not consider it to be a dream or nightmare, although this now does feel more real than that. I still don't consider it a dream/nightmare. This might seem garbled, but I just have to get it out. Happy to answer any questions or expand on this more. In the experience, I came to after the bang and life carried on. Had a few stitches and continued with my life, and things got super dark. I developed depression and other severe mental health problems. My life fell apart. I dropped out of university. I lost all but one of my friends. I had to move back home. I went from a reasonably happy teenager to a totally lacking in function husk of a person. I moved home at 24th and stayed until 31st doing nothing, just lying in bed all day, going to therapy to very little effect, and daydreaming as an escape. Just heartbroken and lost and so depressed. It was hell. I was suicidal in the experience for years and frequently had feelings of unreality and depersonalization. About a month before the end of it, I did a guided meditation that was really intense. I saw a figure beside me and backed out of it as I didn't like it, then did it again and saw a blue spiky orb in the distance in my mind against a black and grey mountain range looking background. Sorry, I don't know how else to describe it. It was floating there in the air and I remember it being huge. I held that image in my mind until the meditation ended and then carried on. So long story short, I eventually hanged myself. I couldn't take the misery anymore and figured that not existing was preferable to the way I was living. It took me a while to be able to pass out without backing out. I stopped and started. I remember the sensation and fear vividly. Eventually I slipped off. There was nothing for a while. Then I felt the sensation of walking for a while in a haze, like wading through something thick. There was an overwhelming noise of static and I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was really frightened. I turned a corner and saw the blue spiky orb from the meditation again against the same background. Then the scary figure from the meditation came back, but didn't scare me so much this time, and said something like, "You can go back if you like. Pick a place, tell me what you want, and I'll put you there. You've learned your lesson." I didn't know what to do then, when I fell out of the tree. Just came out of my mouth. The figure said something like, "Fine, just do it better this time, okay?" With an exasperated kind of tone. They told me to look at the orb and focus on a certain spike to the top right of it and not to look away no matter what. I did as I was told, heard a locking sound, then couldn't move and felt a column tear through me, like someone shoved a tube from my crotch to the top of my head and I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to explode. It wasn't painful, just very scary and overwhelming with a lot of pressure. This lasted for a long time with that static noise ever rising in the background. Then I felt a huge rush of something through the column, now in me, like air, and then a huge sense of calm and total darkness as the column closed up with this sucking sound. Then I heard my dad yelling in a muffled voice and smelled that cold winter garden air that kind of stings to breathe in and felt the ground against my body. It became a bit clearer and Dad was yelling at my mom not to touch me. She was crying. He was on the phone with the emergency services. I passed out again. Then, a little later, I woke up properly in a hospital. I figured I had survived my suicide attempt and was devastated, but I was here in 2021. I panicked big time and had to be sedated. I then spent the next week extremely emotional, alternating between sobbing with relief and gratitude and feeling terrified just at the whole situation. After that, I managed to calm myself down a bit gradually and have stabilized over the past few weeks. I don't know what else to say really. Just needed to get it out to a potentially receptive audience. I've told a few people, but they all look at me funny. Fair enough. Please don't mock me. I feel really crazy and silly about this as it is. Please report, delete if it's not appropriate for the sub. Thank you, WTF Happened, the author. Hi all, very certain my home is haunted and looking for some advice. I moved into my current house last April and I loved it. It's older, built in the 20s, and has a semi-finished basement I'm working on and a big garage, huge yard for my dogs, good stuff all around. However, myself as well as friends have noticed that my basement feels incredibly odd. Most definitely has the feeling of being watched. I have a dog and cat, and they absolutely will not go down there unless I go with them. I keep my dog's kennel in the living room area of the basement, and I heard him down there growling and snarling while he's kenneled. Now, I try not to kennel him unless I absolutely must. He has never had an issue with his kennel until now. He also barks at the kitchen and basement, stares at them both a lot, etc. Bizarre behavior. For the last couple of months, I've had some pretty blatant activity going on. I guess the first would be when I heard a woman cough in my basement. I immediately thought someone might be squatting down there. It's a large basement, lots of places to potentially hide. So I had a friend come over and check it out with me. Nobody found. A week or so after, I was sitting on my couch upstairs and I heard a very clear, obvious whistle, as if someone was whistling, and it was coming from my kitchen. Kitchen leads to the basement. Sounded like the person was just one room over. Both of my pets immediately perked up and seemed alert after hearing it. More recently, I had a Christmas decorative piece on my kitchen counter move an inch or so, and today's kitchen cabinet closed on its own. Absolutely no draft in my house. I'm always hearing thumbs and dishes moving in my kitchen when I'm in bed, and I never go check it out because, I'll be honest, it freaked me out. It also irritates my pets because my dog growls and freaks out anytime he hears it. Has anyone experienced anything similar? And what should I do about it? It's getting more intense as time goes on. This isn't the first house I've lived in with a paranormal presence, but this is what I would say is the most active one. Also, I would like to mention that I don't know much history about the house, and neither does my landlord, unfortunately. He hasn't owned it for very long. Thank you, Liveymcc, the author. Thank you for watching, everyone! If you already haven't, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any new episodes. See you again soon, and until then, please, be safe.